I know now that my wife has become host to a Kandarian demon. I fear that the only way to stop those possessed by the spirits of the book is through the act of bodily dismemberment.
It's truly frightening.
This is
Gives you a home.
oh man, I got this. Big love for me too, man. Yeah. I'll see you soon.
Welcome to Three Corners of Horror live here on Horror Fiend TV. I am Joe, and tonight I am we are being joined by the fourth corner. It's good to see you again, Lexi. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing good. I'm excited to talk about this one.
I think we're all pretty excited. And then, of course, by my other half, not the one that put the ring on it, but my brother, Rick. How you doing?
What up? I'm doing good. Sorry, I'm all over the place right now. I'm a little unorganized, but Ricky Van will adjust, but I'm happy to be here. Bro, this is the first stream, I'll be honest, in a long time. I was like excited to jump on this one, bro. Look, I don't got my headphones all the way in. Look at that shit. That's how fucking unorganized I am right now. But that's how we roll, man. That's how I roll, at least, man.
Well, I mean, at least we can't. It's better to be a little frazzled than be really late. So at least we're not that badly late tonight. All right. So, life is precious. Enjoy every second. You never know when. Good luck. Thanks, Tony Todd, for your roles. Rest in peace, and thank you for your last words. Tonight, we're going to be discussing the newest installment in the Final Destination franchise, and that is Final Destination Bloodlines. I don't memorize the names that well, so I got to look over real quick, and it's all good. It's directed by Zach Lipovsky and Adam Stein, and it stars Caitlin Santana Juana as Stefani, Teo Briones as Charlie, Richard Harmon as Eric, and of course, in his final role, Tony Todd as William Bloodworth. So I don't know if you guys have watched any of the other episodes, but Rick has not really seen all these movies. This has been one where we've always been like, you still haven't seen it yet. And I'm glad he held off, and I'm actually glad he's excited, because I was like, he put in the work. He watched the other movies that he hadn't seen yet, especially to be here on the episode. So thanks a lot for, because I know it's a lot of movies to have watched.
No, it wasn't too bad. Just 3. I saw just the last,
then the movie
last
theater,
2
right?
plus this one, so 3.
But
I
still,
saw back to back to back, so each night a new one until the last one. So I was fresh. I was going in fresh.
And that's why I just want to hear, because like Lexi and I have talked about these movies. We've been, I don't know, I think, did you do a stream where they talked about the Final Destinations or no?
Yeah, I think Angel did one.
I appeared on that one. So
yeah,
I didn't go on that one.
Okay. But so
I think you and I just talk about it randomly, like over the phone.
But so Rick, I just want to hear, everything you've got to say about the movie.
Yeah, like, to go back, it's true that when you had put this on the schedule at the last moment, because I was going to be really busy this week, I said, you know what, man, I'm not going to join this one. I haven't even seen the last few, but I watched the last couple. I think I saw the Final Destination and Final Destination 5, the only 2 I was missing. And I'll be like, all right, now I got to see 6 now. So I made sure, I got my ticket. And I jumped in there. And I will say, man, this movie, Final Destination Bloodlines, I went in with 0 expectations. Because the franchise, I saw the first 3, and I kind of got a little just interested. It felt formulaic already. It was the same tropes, the same storyline over and over. But then, like I said, I saw the last couple I was missing, and it rejuvenated me in a way where, like, oh my god, you know what, dude? Not as bad as I thought they were gonna be. So I went into this film thinking, all right, it'll be like that, but with a bigger budget. Hopefully better special effects. No more 3D, thank God. So I sat down, and what I immediately noticed after like the first 20 or so minutes, I'm like, God, dog, this intro is taking long. Is like me and Joe did review it. I don't watch trailers, but I did see it for this one because me and Joe reacted to it. So I'm thinking, oh no, like, well, not oh no, but I'm like, it's what's going on? Like, this is a long intro. I'm looking for all these players already. Okay, who's gonna die and who's gonna come back later and somehow survive this and come back later and get killed? I'm just doing the math in my head, and I couldn't find anyone really. But then the fresh coat of paint that this film came into and I didn't realize it was really long between films. 2011, I think, was the last film.
14 years, I thought.
Jesus Christ, that's a long time.
A long gap.
So they remixed the formula, and that is something that I really took away from going into this movie. And the fact that they actually went and they didn't just rely on the same tropes. Everything I went in fearing, it totally evaporated. They took it, threw it against the fucking wall, and just kept smashing it over the fucking face. You know what I'm saying? Mike Tyson going in there in his prime, you know, like bam, 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 and just completely rewrote the script on this movie. Because once that first premonition was finally fucking over, a completely different character wakes up, and they were the one that was having that premonition now. So I'm like, wait a minute, what's going? I was a little not confused, but like bewildered. Like, wait a minute, this ain't supposed to happen. It threw me off my game. So I was like, all right, hold on, let me sit back, let me see. And one thing I immediately noticed, because I saw the other ones, I was fresh, is the characters in this movie are so much more likable. In the other films, you didn't care about anyone, and especially coming off the last two, the characters were there just for fodder. No character development. They were all the typical tropes. You didn't care about nobody at all. Not even the main characters. At least I didn't. But in this film, immediately it's a family. And you know, Joe, we know how we talked about using the title Bloodlines in movies. Not a fan of it. Not a fan. Overused.
And Lexi.
But, huh?
Lexi said the same thing too.
Yes.
Yeah.
So in this one, I immediately connected with the characters, and then they had cousins, aunts, you know. And then they opened it up to, of course, they got the parents, right? They're split. We just talked about this in Clown in the Cornfield. They can't escape every trope, unfortunately. But at least in this movie, the mom came back, explained why she left. And in my opinion, it made sense. Wow, holy shit. Okay, I'll give him that. And the rising tension throughout the film, though, especially with that cold open, dude. There was no intro in this movie, right? No like credit sequence. I'm not misremembering.
No, yeah,
that. It just started.
I think
it just started. So that's one thing the Final Destination was always known for, its opening title sequence. But in this one, it gets right to it. So the rising tension, bro. One thing I will say that I noticed that once the film starts, and you know what's gonna happen already. Once you see the sea view, and you see the camera just pan all the way up. Oh, now we know what the disaster is gonna be. You know what I mean? Even though it wasn't a trailer, but going back and thinking about it, but I completely had the trailer out of my mind by this point, so I didn't know. And the tension, whether it was the penny, whether it was like the fire, like I'm afraid of heights. So being up there, I related to this character. Like, oh my god! When he was like, "Oh, I'm sorry, you afraid of heights?" Like, motherfucker, you should have been asked that before you even attempted to. I'm sorry, I could never go to that place. I would never be caught dead in there. It's too much. But I will say, the film never dragged. Was never boring. This is the longest film in the franchise. The longest running time, an hour and 50 or so minutes, right? I think that's okay, Joe. Having the longer runtime, instead of just padding it with fluff, it took that runtime to develop the characters and the relationships with one another. There wasn't one character that I hated in this movie. There was characters that were like dicks, you know, but you know, they weren't egregious. You know, they weren't like annoying, and they weren't one-dimensional. They were not. The cast is great. I love the cast in this film. You mentioned Richard Harmon. That's my man. My man is forever gonna be playing the young guy. You know, I've been watching Richard Harmon he was in The 100 for one. Loved him in that show. And there are countless other horror movies he was in. Joe, what was it? He was in Low Lives.
Low Lives.
Low Lives. It was just in Low Lives. That's great. The cast was. I like the fact that they had the mix of like she was Filipino. Or I don't know if the character was, but the actress was Filipino. But I'm not sure.
The family was Filipino.
I like that. I like how they kept it kind of interracial a little bit, and her cousins were people that I grew up with, essentially, you know. And I want to get into. You mentioned Tony Todd already, right? I'm not gonna harp on it too much on that. That was such a great moment, considering that was his open dialogue. That was not scripted. You know, they said, tell, you know, these lines, throw the script out the window, talk to your fans, because they knew that was his last performance. He knew it was his last performance. So I teared up when that part came up. I was really like, it touched me, you know, because I grew up with Tony Todd, man. I loved it.
Yeah.
I loved it since Platoon. You know what I mean? So,
Well, before you go on, just to like,
yep.
we'll real quickly address the Tony Todd popping up.
Go
on
for
there.
it. You can
Lexi,
handle it.
you know, what did you feel when you saw basically our last time seeing Tony?
Oh man, it was emotional. You know, I went with my daughter, so she doesn't like have that history or that feeling with Tony Todd. So for me, it was definitely emotional. There, and you know, I was surrounded by a lot of young Gen Z. Oh my God, new movie, let's go see it. And so I just had this connection, you know, just seeing him speak his unscripted last words, and he said nothing but facts. Like, we do have to live, you know, like it's our last day, and you know, just enjoy the people around us and the people that are in our life, and love everybody that's in your life. And it was emotional. And then, you know, at the end of the film, it says in loving memory. I just cried, and I was like, yeah, Tony Todd. I'm the only loser talking, clapping in the theater for Tony Todd. It was just an emotional moment, and my daughter's like, oh, okay, yeah. And so is but I got everyone in the freaking theater to clap, because like, respect the man.
Yeah.
Okay. And it was just like such a surreal moment. And I loved how, like, for a moment with all the craziness of this film, I just love that we had a soft moment for him, and I cried as well.
Listen, when he popped up on the screen, I literally like took a breath, and like, I'm trying also not to, because I heard Lexi like cracking a little bit.
Yes,
I literally, I'm sitting there like, oh my God, you know. And if anybody's ever lost a family member, especially to cancer, to see how it, like, you know, you like, it makes a connection. And hearing his words, that's why I said it in the beginning. Like, again, like, these are his last words to the fans. I still didn't cry yet, because Adam got up for the bathroom, and I'm sitting there and I'm trying not to cry as I'm going in my head, like, it's a horror movie, you're not supposed to cry.
Right.
And when he goes, what just happened? I'm like, don't, you know, he just said a couple words. You know, I love the connection that they gave him in here, and it was such a beautiful send off for him. But yeah, I just, because Rick, you touched upon it, that way all of us, we can get the emotion out right now, so we can talk all happy about the movie.
All right, everybody, man up.
Yeah, now it's time, like, get their tears away. All right, Rick, go ahead.
To transition away from that, though, it was cool that they incorporated his character into the main story. He's not just like a random like mystery guy. Now we understand who he is, where he came from. And when I swear to God, I don't know about you, Joe or Lexi, when they showed the kids, right, the little kid in the beginning, and I was saying, who is that kid? And then when we find out that kid was JB, Bloodsworth, bro, I lit up. The theater must have heard me, because I was like, oh no, how did I not make that connection?
Right.
Sorry, Jesus Christ.
It was a beautiful, like,
there we go.
come around.
So yeah, but on a more lighter note, the CGI, thank God it was to a minimal. It was only used sparingly. A lot of practical in this. One thing I did notice with the last couple of films, they're both 3D, and the horrible CGI. It was just so egregious. I did not like how much they relied on it. I don't like CGI. 3D films because of that. It's a gimmick, and the CGI does not age well. But and some of the final destination tropes still lingered. You know, the premise, some of the dialogue was recycled through all the entire series. At this point, all right, it's not a homage anymore. Can we just move on from that? But that's a nitpick. It's a nitpick. But I think another nitpick, though, the family's deaths. This is the one thing. Once there was 2 family members, they ceased to exist by this point. And they're all on the couch, and they're still cutting jokes. Not jokes, but, they try to do lighthearted moments here and there. I wanted them to grieve more. Not, like, in a way where it's going to take over the film, but just to give it more weight. Give the deaths more weight. Because the film did take itself seriously But when it got to that point, and they lost the dad and their sister, and they're already like, they're still, some characters are still being jovial in a sense, like, that's a disconnect. But again, it's a nitpick. It wasn't really heavily featured in this film, and the humor did work. The autopsy scene when they walk in looking for JB, and there's a random guy cutting up some dude, taking his fucking guts out and stuff, like that kind of humor I dug. I love the Eric and what's his name, Bobby, right? The two brothers, their chemistry, they felt like brothers. You could tell Eric cared for his younger brother, but yet they had this funny like juxtaposition between the two of them, like I think that worked really well. My favorite deaths, just get them out the way, of course. I know I'm not gonna get into the main ones, but I loved when JB, when he was a child and he saw his mother burn before his very eyes, and you see her burning within his eyes, literally. Such a great touch that was. That was amazing. That really cemented, like, okay, this fire was done before. We just saw it in the previous one, but the way she melted in front of this young kid was so well done. And of course, Julia's trash compactor scene, the practical moment, I fucking love that, obviously. But there's more, but I'm not gonna, get into all that. But the film it's tons of fun. It rejuvenated the franchise. I think this is what this franchise needed. I think it had the balls to finally do something different, and I think waiting this long in between films helped it, especially with the budget, the effects, the everything. Even like the writing felt more mature in this one, and I really did enjoy it. Tons of fun. And my last thing I'm gonna say, and it's a nitpick, but it really drove me nuts. It's not a turtle. It's a tortoise, okay? Paco was a tortoise, not a turtle. I'm sorry. I just hate when movies do that.
That is a nitpick. That is a nitpick.
I thought this.
Wow.
Me and Rick
They're
both
two
have
different
turtles,
things, man.
okay?
You don't call a lizard a salamander. You just don't do it. So
Anyway,
anyway,
you know what a salamander looks like.
yeah, of course.
All right,
bro.
Lexi, go ahead and give me all your thoughts on the movie.
So my daughter and I again went and saw this together because we watched all 5 films before going to see this one. I had to introduce her to Final Destination the second I heard Final Destination Bloodlines was coming out. Now, let me just talk about the title for a second. I went in nervous as hell. I think I've said that multiple times on our streams, that I'm going in nervous because of the title. And I'm going to say Final Destination revived the title of Bloodlines. Like, they own that. But going into the movie, I mean, we went into the theater and we saw it in 40X. I didn't know what the hell 40X was. I always went standard. I don't care to pay $1 million for like IMAX, or just go see it and like move on with life. And so I was like, 40X, what's that?
Did you hold on to your popcorn?
Let's go. I didn't know what it was. It was my first experience. And so I didn't know what to expect. I didn't like Google what's the difference between 40X and IMAX or 3D. I didn't know. So when we got there, I noticed a button on the seat, and it said water on or water off. And I'm like, the fuck? Okay, water on. I'm gonna leave it on. And so as soon as because we did get there kind of early, the commercial started, but I didn't pay attention. I was just looking down. My daughter's like, commercials on. I'm like, yeah, I'm not trying to watch it. But then the feet moved and started thrashing me everywhere. And I was like, I'm at Disney World or something.
That was during trailers?
That was during trailers.
They should save that for the movie. Yeah.
Well, I instantly realized, oh, this is going to be awesome. Hopefully it's good, and Bloodlines hopefully lives up to its name. And I absolutely enjoyed this entire film. My thing with the film is I liked the back and forth flashbacks from, the 1950s, was it, or 60s, to today's world. And I think they did it at the right times when they flashed back. I did not make the connection with the little boy and Tony Todd until Tony Todd said his story. And I was like, wait, what? It was a mind blown. It just tied it all together. As far as the comical parts, I did enjoy because I thought it was funny. And I loved that. I'm so bad with names. I don't remember any of their names. But the guy with the piercing in his nose, we saw teaser trailers of this guy. So when I was like, oh, here we go, he's about to die. He didn't die. Oh, here's the truck. He's about to die. Oh wait, he didn't die. What the fuck? And he died in the most unexpected way. And it was my favorite death. I'm sorry, it was. It was my favorite
Brutal.
death. With the what was it, an MRI machine?
Yes.
Yeah.
Who would have thought an MRI machine?
But my daughter and I, like, when the movie was over, we got in the car. I was like, but that doesn't make sense. He wasn't a bloodline. So I was like, why did he die? And then we started making the puzzle pieces fit. It was because while his brother was dying on peanut butter, having that allergic reaction, he was basically killing his because you know it's that thing where if you take a life, you get as long as their lifespan or something. So when he died in the MRI, getting magnetized, cut in half and shit, he literally died within seconds. So of course his brother died within seconds because that's the lifespan that he had. So I was like, oh, and my daughter, when we were making that connection, she's like, oh, that makes sense. And because we were like, why did he wasn't supposed to die? That's because his, peanut butter allergic reaction brother killed his brother somehow, some way. It was just all so fucked up in that scene. And it's not even their fault. And I loved the fact that when they were at the vending machine and he's shaking it, and I was nervous. I was like, oh my God, it's going to fall on him. And then the spring it's full circles around the whole scene that the spring comes and knocks him in the head. And I was like, oh, fuck. Like, I loved absolutely every kill. What was it? The sister, I don't know why she's probably the only one I remember. Julie?
Yeah, Julia.
I
Julia.
think it's because I hated her the most, besides the little kid, not JB, the little white kid who was a little asshole with the pennies.
Oh, no, he was a dick.
Oh.
I hated that motherfucker.
I was like, no. At first, because, like, I don't want children to die, okay? But he kind of deserved it. And
I cheered when he got it.
Yeah, so did I. I was like, oh, well, at first I was like, no. Okay, he deserved it. But like, and like in the theater experience just was like, you could feel, and that's why the water was on, every blood splatter was being pushed into my face. And I was just like, this is so awesome. I'm in the movie.
So every time the blood splatter, you'll get water in the face?
Yes, anytime you get
I hate being wet. I would turn that off.
It is fun. It is fun.
It is
honestly,
so much fun. It was
too
such a
distracting
great
for me. Man. I
experience.
couldn't do it.
Really, I loved it. I enjoyed it. It was
No,
so
I
fun.
imagine
were
it was
laughing.
great.
We did lose a lot of popcorn. Because we didn't expect it. She's like, "Holy crap! I almost dropped the whole thing." She like good reflex and grabbed the popcorn. As far as I was gonna say something. Holy crap. Oh, and the relationship between all the characters, like you said, Rick. I do like the family dynamic of the aunts and the uncles, the parents, the siblings, the cousins. It was a new take on all the other films. They were all friends from college, and so this was a different dynamic with a family.
You're right.
And so I did feel for the grandma, Iris. So I remember some names,
Yeah.
Iris. So I love the fact that she's trying to protect herself from the world, but her whole house was a fucking death trap. I was like, how is this really protecting you? I just thought it was funny, I guess. But that's my like small nitpick was just Iris's house. I'm like, how are you really protecting yourself when this is like a death trap? You got fucking chains and
That's because she knows
pointing sticks.
what to look
Right.
for. Yeah.
Right. And so I did like the scene with her and Stephanie. Look at me remembering names as I go on.
Look at that.
But I love the conversation between her and Stephanie. And I, for a moment, Stephanie believed her, and then she kind of freaks out. And she's like, well, it's, you're going to have to see to believe. And then bam. And then there goes the splatter of water on my face. And I was like, there were so many moments where I was like, ay, Dios mío. I was like, oh my God. Like, especially when she had the flashback, young Iris, and she falls with JB, I believe. And it gets impaled through the throat. I was like, oh. Like,
by the way, good call. That was on purpose because that's how Iris died.
Yes, I noticed that.
Yes.
Yeah. So good
that's what
call
I'm
on bringing
saying.
that
Like,
up because that was on purpose.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, she was supposed to die that way, and I was just like, oh, my heart. And then I do like that we don't really get to see how JB dies. Yeah, in the film, so to speak, not in real life, obviously, but in the film. So it leaves us to wonder, like, how did his death come about? I mean, we see him
Well,
fall, but
he
we
said he
don't.
was sick,
We don't.
though.
He was sick.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He said
like,
it, yeah.
Yeah.
Both because he knew that Iris was sick, and he said that
Mhm.
no matter what, death still caught up with him, basically.
Mhm.
So I mean, I
But
don't-
he still
I
died
don't-
in a fucked up Final Destination way. So
I hope that he didn't. I hope that Death
Right.
just said.
I don't
Death just
wanna know.
goes, For
I
me,
like
Yeah,
the way-
I went in
I
that Death
want it-
went. I'm gonna.
that's it.
You're already. I'll see you soon. I'll
Mhm.
let you just go
Right.
that way.
I do now, going back to Tony Todd's moment where it was very emotional. Taking the emotions out, I loved what they were talking about with the family. The fact that they tie it with me and Joe's favorite, FD2. So I love the tie with Kimberly. That just was full circle for me. I'm bad with names.
Kimberly,
I was
what?
like,
Wait, what?
who's
What do you mean,
Kimberly?
what?
Yeah, I was like, who's Kimberly? And so me and my daughter are Googling, and I was like, oh my God,
The
it's tying
only
into
person-
Final Destination.
the
She
only
was the only
person
one that
to-
survived.
Yeah, has
Final Destination.
who beats
Yeah.
Death's plan.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, for me, I just can't wait to get to ranking because it really fucked up my list watching this film. It really fucked it up. I had to sleep on it. That's how devastating my list was. I was like, oh my God, I don't know how I'm going to rate this tomorrow night. I'm going to have to sleep. I had to go to sleep. And so when I woke up in the morning, I made my list. I had to redo it. But overall, such a great film. I loved everything about it.
Before we go to you, Joe.
Before,
let's
yeah,
hit
yeah,
up-
yeah. I was gonna say before we go, let's say hello to everybody. I messaged you guys. Thank you for sitting tight with us. We appreciate it.
There you go.
Hey, Mama.
Mama Rose. I was needing this. Something about the franchise just makes me want more. You know what? I'll get
Yes.
into that later. But Joe knows. I was like already. I jumped off after 3. I was like, all right, I'm done with this franchise. But that was my mistake. Electrocute me, chop me in half with a wire. For some reason, I'm there. Damn, bro.
That's my man.
Damn. And by the way,
Pinky.
Eric's death in the MRI machine, I know Joe could relate to that shit. Because that Prince Albert, woof. That shit was his demise, son. Right, Joe?
Yep.
Joe got one of those. I'm sorry,
I
Joe.
do
I
not. No, I
didn't
do
mean
not.
to tell nobody that. I'm kidding.
Oh, yes. Oh my God, yes.
The glass floor.
height.
Oh yeah. Oh
Yeah. No. Heights in general are a phobia. Let me ask you, Joe. You're afraid of heights too?
Oh yeah. I'm good.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
You wouldn't be dancing on that glass, fucking.
I'll get there. I'll get there.
Okay.
Yeah. No, trust me.
All right, there you go. Thank you, Joseph, for that. Joseph, why the hell did I call you?
Oh
that?
man, Mom, it was heartbreaking.
That's my confirmation name, so you just call me by my confirmation name.
Y'all gonna make me cry. I love Tony Todd. It breaks my heart to see him so frail, but still so strong. Yeah, you know what?
100%.
Yeah.
He was out of the limelight for a while, and I bet you a lot of people didn't even realize that's what he looked like in recent times. I saw him because I followed him on social, so I seen he was in that shape already. But it was rough, man.
Yeah.
Ew, don't like getting wet either, and double no if it makes you drop or lose expensive popcorn. Popcorn is expensive.
That's facts, though.
Hi, my loves. I must say, I love this movie. It brought out so many emotions at once. Thank you, Selena. Yeah, we got you.
All right.
Cool,
So,
cool. Go up, Joe.
because I had told Rick, I'm like, since want to make sure that while everybody's talking, if you take some notes. So, Lexi, when you talked about Eric's death, and actually, Rick, you had mentioned it. When it's all happening, I went to Adam. I go, I hope he don't got a Prince Albert. Well, he's got a Prince Albert. So, when they all met with JB, he said, "Don't fuck with death." You mentioned the comedy. So when Eric was sitting there mocking, Eric grinded on the tire, and he's like, "Oh yeah."
That was one of my favorite parts.
So when he did that, this was Death's way of going, "Fuck you." When he and I actually looked up some stuff to go. It was a planned intention that his way of going was because Death did not like the way that he was mocking him. So that's how he
Consistently,
got
too.
Oh, good
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah, no,
Yo,
and
good shout. I didn't
Oh,
pick that
no.
up. Good shout.
I
Good
wanted
shout.
to make sure.
I didn't
that
either.
Yeah, I wanted to have some.
I just thought it was the brothers' chance of surviving the fucking peanut butter reaction.
And I didn't want to interrupt you because the thing is, I liked where you were going because that kind of made sense because you tied in 5, which is taking somebody. If you kill someone, you take however long they have to live. So your idea, I was like, oh, that's kind of going somewhere. But yeah, that was that. Shit. I wrote something about the death trap. All right, I'll come back to it. All right, so for me, same thing. I mean, we mentioned it. Bloodlines. It was like I love Final Destination movies. Rick can attest to this. That I'll be at work, and I'll message. I'm watching Final Destination. Like I'll put on my Fire Stick. I go to DirecTV, and there's a marathon on. He's like, I don't know if that's how what I would be watching. Not when you envision your patients meeting some Final Destination. That's why you're sitting there. So I am a huge fan of the series. I loved how it actually, Lexi, piggybacking what you said, it took the Bloodlines, it revitalized the franchise, it gave it a fresh new look. It wasn't, as Rick said, there were tropes that were still in there, but they weren't there. For the series, all the deaths are great. I'm a fan. Always the first sequence is what makes it for me. And when I visit my cousin Giovanna in Washington, I am not doing the Space Needle. It's off. We're not doing it. I've always been curious, but no. Like no. There's no way. I loved that the trailer, Lexi mentioned it, completely screwed with you because it made you think that Eric was going to die at the tattoo parlor. And then he shows up, he's alive. I was like, those cheeky motherfuckers. That's really good. You used your trailer and you made us, think differently. But yeah, getting back to the open, I did actually like that it was longer. Because since it's supposed to be Bloodlines, it's introducing you how this family started, with the characters. And when it got to the shout and they're jumping up and down, it made me think of Perlene in Sinners. Oh, Lexi, you went and saw it when Perlene was singing and everybody's stomping down, and you're like the and it's like, oh my god. And I told Adam, all right, so if we go anywhere that it has a glass floor, I'm not doing it. Like this is what.
And if you hear that song,
oh yeah,
I'm out.
No,
I'm running.
I'm out.
That song, they ruined that song for me.
Mm-hmm. You wanna
for me-
shout? Ooh.
For me, it was, I love the fucking open. I was same thing. So happy to see the little boy get it at the end. What I had also liked, if in case you didn't stay all the way to the end, to make sure that you got that, in memory to Tony Todd, is as you watch the penny that Lexi had mentioned, it's rolling across and you're getting scenes of all these other deaths.
Yeah.
So same way that when we reviewed Smile 2, that they opened up the universe for this thing, by doing Bloodlines, they can go to these other families and give us these stories.
I love that. Thank you, Joe. Yep.
So I was like, all right, I kind of I see what you're doing there.
Mhm.
But when all this shit started going down in the restaurant, I hate heights. I do roller coasters for the adrenaline. I had so much vertigo. Like my stomach was queasy, and it wasn't the depths. It was just the heights and the way they were showing things. And I kept going. I had to look away. And the
Can I ask you something?
CGI Go ahead.
Were you high when you went in?
Of course.
Oh yeah.
Can I say something? By
Were
the
you high,
way,
Lexi?
no. But when they were doing the restaurant scene and she's queasy and she's like, oh my God, the seats were moving with me.
Oh.
And I was like, like we're getting queasy with her. It was awesome. Okay, go ahead,
But-
Joe.
But yeah, I for me, this movie, I fucking loved it. I am gonna say though, I am a little bit more on the side of I didn't hate the humor, but I could have used just a little less. And Rick was right. You needed some gravitas in certain sections.
But do you know
and
why
then-
I like the humor? I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but it was because especially the scene where the brother's like, "Save me, help me," and they're going out into the trailer, or the where the mom's trailer thing was, and so it's for me, I felt a human connection because that's how we would react. Okay, this is gonna happen, that like, and this is gonna fall, and that's gonna cause that. Like, it was so relatable to me because we do talk about that as
I
human beings in real life.
I didn't mind that, but it was still, it took it just a little bit too much.
Yeah.
He should have took it just a little more serious. They should have given some scenes, especially, you know, when they gave, so the movie made sure to give itself some of the references to the other movies. That was Terry's scene, obviously, but that's also how, and I don't remember his name, but in Final Destination 4, the guy that got hit with the ambulance, when he goes, "Oh, that was deja vu," and then boom, gets hit. So that was a reference to that. In the book, because I know I'm one of those people, even though I'm listening, I'm looking, and I did look some stuff up because I caught this. So in the book, you got Alex, when they discuss him in the other movie, that they talk about he died because a brick hit him. In the book, she drew Alex getting hit by the brick. The grill that you saw in there is the grill from Final Destination 2, when the guy from Shameless, I can't remember his name right now, but he's been in so many fucking shows and movies. But when he goes to, you know, put everything on and the grill blows up, you obviously, the plane was in there and the trucks. Getting to the trucks. In the movie, they showed that when damn it, because she said Kimberly before. Stephanie and Charlie almost ran into the truck that was with the logs. I actually read that was intentional because that was how you were going to foresee that they were still going to die.
That was their deaths. Yeah,
That was their
cool.
deaths. I thought their deaths were cool. I kind of was like, oh man, like, why the logs? Like, the logs were cool in 2.
That's where the CGI was like, okay,
yeah, that's where I'm gonna.
That was the only thing I was like, that's too CGI for me.
I liked everything, even when they were running. I actually, honestly, because with the Marvel movies that we watch, when they were running from it, that was cool. But when we got to the logs, I'm like, I'm a little mixed on how that one went. All right, just want to make sure I said everything.
No, you're right about that. I think if they would have filmed it better, it would have made more of an impact, at least for me. But it was too cartoony. They just got splattered with CGI effects, and I was like, the movie did so well until that part. Again, it didn't really hamper the film, but yeah, you're right, Joe. It could have been done better. Yeah.
Well, and it showed how, because they tied it to Final Destination 2, because when the brother was being introduced and saying he's a hero, they were like, the guy's like, well, I mean, just because you saw her stop breathing doesn't mean that her heart stopped. She could have still been alive. And then they look at each other at classic Final Destination ending, you know, when you realize you didn't cheat death. I liked, honestly, that we still kept Kimberly as the only person who has cheated death so far, which she could be brought back into the series at some point. However, in the book itself, there was also a scene where they showed a wood chipper. In the movie, originally, they were going to say that Kimberly and her, I guess she marries the sheriff, they met their demise in a wood chipper. They didn't want to make that canon. So, leaving Kimberly still there. And the mom was actually, not Iris, but
Darlene, right?
Darlene.
Yeah.
Darlene was supposed to die. In the scene when they're all scared going to the rotating doors or whatever they're called.
Oh yeah? Really?
In the trailer, you see that something gets clipped on it and she gets stuck in there and her head gets crushed. They did not put that in the movie.
Good choice.
Right.
Yeah, that was too early for her. Yeah, her death made sense where it was placed there.
Well, all right. Before we go to our ratings, I mean, if anybody's got any last things on the movie that they want to, you know, throw out there.
No, I said everything I had to say.
I do want to mention that the part, you know, we see him CPR her, and so Kaylee, she's young, right? So when it came to the part where the doctor's like, "Oh, yeah, no, not really. She didn't die," and they're like, "Wait, what?" I was
he's a
like,
doctor? That's what it
CPR
was?
one-on-one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
that's
I'm
nice.
thinking, because I work for a hospital, I have to do CPR every 3 months, right? So I was like, oh my God, I didn't even make the connection. Weak pulse. She was still alive. Her heart's still pumping. He's just trying to get the water out of her lungs. So I was like, oh my God, I missed that whole thing.
Yeah.
So I thought that was a good tie. But you're right about the logs at the end. I was hoping that they would
Yeah,
just die by the
logs.
train.
And I just remembered I'm Death Trap. So Lexi, when you had mentioned that the whole house was a death trap, that was also meant to throw an homage to when Alex hid out in the
Mhm.
cabin,
And yep.
but to the nth degree. The whole way that the house
Who's
is
Alex? Who's Alex?
from part one.
Refresh me.
And from one.
Oh
From
yeah,
one.
that's
When he goes to the
Devin
cabin
Sawyer?
and the way he's got Devin Sawa, yeah,
yeah,
the
yeah.
way
He
he's
did
got
that shit
everything
for
set up.
one. You're right. That was cool. Yeah.
So that was intentional as well.
Oh, nice, nice.
Yeah, they wanted to, but again, it was to the nth degree.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. All right, so actually, Rick, I'm really glad you watched the other ones and that you joined us for this one. I mean, Lexi and I would have been fine, trust me, because we love the. But thanks for watching the other ones and putting in the work to show up for the live stream. And
Of course,
and I'm actually glad you showed up with the good energy with it, because if anybody I was more nervous about, it'd be you.
Really?
Because here's why. Because
you saw it before me. You should have been. You should have watched it.
No.
It would have been like, oh, Rick's gonna love this.
I know, but you still, I get where you lost, like.
But you know why I say that? Because you're right. My complaints to you was, it's just that the first three. Okay, if it's gonna keep being this all the time, I just lost interest.
Yeah.
This completely in my opinion, rejuvenated the franchise. So I think this is how you take a formula, like let's say a slasher film. If you're gonna do a slasher, like let's say another Friday the 13th, come back. Don't just do another Friday the 13th and just make it big budget. No, if you flip the script, make it feel familiar, but yet make it feel fresh and change the formula so it's not formulaic. I hate shit that's formulaic, bro. I can't stand shit like that. So yeah, that's why I love it.
Yeah, because the formula was changed with the nightmares at the beginning of the
exactly. Yeah, all that.
That gave me Freddy Krueger vibes.
Yeah, and like Joe said, like I don't know, I think it was Joe, when it wasn't like teenagers or like a group of college or high school. It's a family, and the fact that we're Puerto Rican, bro. Like them saying we're going to the cousin's house. That's all we did.
That's all we did.
Oh, I can't wait to go to my cousin. So once they said, "Oh, we're gonna go to the cousins," I'm like, oh, I felt right at home. So I just loved all that about it. That dynamic was great.
Well, and because as like I said, that I'm probably. It was intentional when they were showing that penny, so it sounds like some of those might be the other movies.
Yeah,
Which,
that
again,
penny was all over the fucking movie too.
It's a perfect way to I mean, when it was rolling across the map that Iris
At the
had
end?
made, yeah. All the bloodlines, because that's the other part is that you basically that's been busy you've been taking care of these other people in these other 5 movies, and he went, oh shit, hold on. I gotta go back to 1950. I forgot about this whole group. There's like a bunch I gotta go through here.
Yeah, you're right. Exactly. Before I get into the ratings, the one last thing, you're right. I just thought about this when you had mentioned it. The Bloodlines title, we hated it. Come on, man. Enough of this shit. But here, the fact that all these people this is where it all started, right? All these people that survived, because we never had a Final Destination where so many people survived an incident, and the fact that it goes in order. So by the time it got to a certain part, people had kids. So those kids are not. That just made so much sense, and I'm like, oh my god, Bloodlines. You know what?
That's how you use the title.
It gets a pass on this one.
Bloodline. Actually, if it goes with Bloodlines is how it all ends.
Yeah,
You see everything before that. So I thought that was cool. I mean, again, Lexi, we were so not looking forward to the Bloodlines part.
No,
her and I were just saying.
I wasn't excited for it. I told you, and that's why I saw the trailer. I was like, I'll watch the trailer. I don't care about Final Destination anymore, bro. But yeah, let's go, guys.
All right, so let's go ahead and give our ratings. Rick, I'm gonna go to you first.
4.5. 4.5. It's oh man, I was close to going for a 5, But I have my qualms about it, but nothing too like disastrous. So it's a 4.5, man. It's not better than Sinners, and that was a 4.5 for me. So I can't give it a 5. But to me, this rejuvenated the franchise.
Lexi?
It's a 5 for me. Maybe it's because of the experience, and I felt like I was in the film. But it really,
That helps.
for me, it was just full circle. It was puzzle pieces to all 5 of them. It was a shout out to all the previous films. Tony Todd made it. He was the icing on the cake. And so for me, it's a 5. Rest in peace, Tony Todd.
I mean, for me, it's a 4.5. It was a fun. I enjoyed it. I can't wait
so
to
much
rewatch it again. So yeah, definitely loved it. If you have not seen the movie, sorry we ruined it for you. But now, because we have watched the series and all of us have ranked these movies in our favorite ones, we're gonna go around and basically just give your, before we're gonna sign off, because it's curious, these will always shift. I promise you, especially Rick, now that you watch them all, you'll see why sometimes if you're like sitting there, you're like, one's on or you want to watch one, why they're so rewatchable. But all right, Rick, what's your order of the Final Destination?
Okay. All right. This is let me just get this going. All right. Okay. I would say Final Destination 2 is still my top dog, and I will tell you why. I'll be honest, I'm gonna get into it right now. Bloodlines, number 2. The reason why Final Destination 2 still trumps this one, even though the opening sequence, and Joe said this is his favorite parts, Bloodlines was incredible. But I still give it to Final Destination 2 because that highway scene is much more relatable for the common Joe. We drive on the highways mostly every single fucking day of our lives, bro. And that to me is frightening. And even to this day, if you go back and watch it, it still holds up, which is very important. So I think to me, part 2, the highway scene, the highway.
What did I text you guys when I was on my way to?
Yes, the wood, the logs.
Literally a car in front of me that had logs, planks. I'm like, fuck, on the way to Final Destination. This is in front of me.
We face that every single day of our lives, being on the road, and anything could happen. So to me, and not just that, but the entire film is just so good. I think that one is still top dog, in my opinion. For me, it's my for me. It could change, like you said, but Bloodlines is my number 2. That's my number 2. I already said enough about that one. Final Destination 1 is my number 3. I saw it recently, and I'll be honest, you saw what I said before. It doesn't hold up quite as well. I think there's a lot of tropes in there as far as the kills, but it's the OG. It's the one that started it all. It's the first one, and until this day, the flight sequence, even though it's tame compared to the shit that we see now, but still, people fly every single fucking day, so that's still very frightening. And the cast was great. Ali Larter, Devin Sawyer. You got my man, Keira Smith, and what's your boy? What's the guy?
Sean William Scott.
Sean William Scott. Yeah, the MILF's son. It's a great cast. So that's my number 3. So, Final Destination 5 will be the next one up. The twist to me this is the reason why number 3 gets bumped to the next position, because the twist in this movie took it over the top. I was not a fan of the whole Peter character and him turning into this murderous guy all of a sudden, because if I kill somebody I could take their time, but I understand that, but it wasn't my best. I didn't like that, to be honest with you. But the twist was so strong in there that when they got to that airport scene when they were going to Paris, and they went completely full circle with the first one, and it was so well done. And then the last character at the end,
I hated that got ruined for you.
It got ruined. Yes,
I hated it because that's
only a few days before I watched it too. Mind you,
the only reason I sat there, I'm like, oh my god, when Rick sees the end of 5, he's gonna go, holy, it's gonna mind blow him, and he's like, it got ruined. I saw something online.
Yeah, it did.
I was deflated.
Yeah.
I was just like, it just took the air out of what he would have appreciated had he not known that.
Yes.
Right.
Stop ruining shit for people online.
And the funny part was when you mentioned, Joe, that if you kill someone, you take their time. the guy that he killed was about to die anyway, so he dies. So I did like that. And Final Destination 5 to me had my favorite opening title sequence. The music, the effects. That was a 3D one, but I love that opening sequence, man. I'm a big fan of opening sequences, and that one hit. And Final Destination 3 is that's the my next one. I heard a lot of bad shit about this one. And I'm sorry. I already said that, but my last one will be the Final Destination, which one's that? 5? No, 4, right? 4. That's the racetrack one, right?
Yeah.
So I heard a lot of bad stuff about this film, and I watched it. And I'm like, man, this isn't that bad. Again, this is when it occurred to me that the characters are so hollow, because the movie starts. And the moment it starts, everybody starts getting killed immediately.
Yep.
And I'm like, oh, okay, there's nothing to this movie, just kills.
It's empty.
I didn't like that. But I will say, it had my favorite ending of all the Final Destination films. When they were sitting in that, what is it, diner or whatever
Cafe.
it was, the cafe, and the car crashes into him, and it goes into complete Mortal Kombat mode. By the way, shout out, Mortal Kombat appears in Final Destination Bloodlines. Great use of the fucking game, by the way. But the way it went into like the X-ray, and you see all the characters getting killed with the car. One got completely squished. The other one got splattered.
It's from all the movies.
What's that?
Right.
When you see the ending, when you see all that, it's from all the movies.
No, I'm talking about when the characters were at the cafe.
I know, but when
And
you
the
said
car
that all of a
crashes
sudden,
in.
and then all of a sudden goes into it shows you the X-ray of all the
It shows
deaths,
those 3 characters die. Just those 3.
and they keep going. If you keep watching it.
Oh,
and
you're
keep
talking
going,
about yeah.
It then goes into
I got you.
all the
I
other
understand.
movies.
I understand. Yeah, that's great. Again, yes, thank you. A great touch. So to me, that's still my favorite ending. Like my favorite. Oh shit, we're gonna die anyway. That's my favorite one, and it's the last one on my list. Not because it was terrible, because there has to be a last one on my list. But that's my ranking. So I'm gonna go one more time, just real quick. Final Destination 2, Bloodlines, the OG, 5, 3, and the Final Destination. So again, I'm glad I went back and watched them, because to be honest, not one bad film in the bunch, dude. I'll be honest. I thought there were gonna be some terrible
I'm glad
ones.
you finally turned it
And
around.
I actually
Sorry.
enjoyed every single one
God,
to an extent.
It was
But
annoying how he was like not like I'm like really.
No.
Dude? You're the one that enjoys like
Yeah.
gruesome deaths. This is what
But
the movie's about.
Bloodlines made me realize why I kind of gave up, because again, 3 and 4 and 5, or I'm sorry, 4 and 5.
5 is not bad.
Yeah, I'm confused, because they
I know,
some are
I know,
not
I know.
titles, some are just anyway. The prior two before Bloodlines, the characters were very hollow, and that's the problem with those films. But Bloodlines took that and made you care about the characters, and that's why I love Bloodlines so much.
All right, Lexi.
All right. So I already mentioned this Bloodlines film really fucked up my list. Because I had it a certain way, and I was like, oh my God, this changes everything. So my number 1 spot is still Final Destination 2. And the reason being, and it's the same reason as Rick, is because, and for me, I work for 3 jobs, and I travel all over Central Florida to every single lab I have to work at, and I'm always on the highway. It's just the most relatable one. And I'm always, and on my way home today to get ready for the live, because I was day shift today, I saw the planks as well. And I was like, okay, I didn't have time to take a picture like Joe, but I was more trying not to die.
I wasn't driving when I took the picture, by the way.
Hey, I took a
Right.
picture with the poster. I posted it on my socials, but there was one I didn't
But
pick. I sent it to Joe. It was the scariest shit. There was
Yeah,
a
it
line.
was like Final Destination 3. I'm like,
Not
watch
even
out
that.
for holes.
If you ever watched The Omen, going back to the 70s, if you watch The
Ooh.
Omen, and the scene when the priest
Yeah.
got the pole, that's the same exact line that was in the film. I'm like, oh,
Okay.
Joe, I'm fucked,
Watch
Joe.
out, watch out.
I'm fucked. If I die and it's by being impaled, Joe will be the only one to know why. So, Joe, I'll leave it up to you to tell my family.
but yeah, number 2 still holds place. And I was really fighting with that number 1 spot, because I was like, you know what, I need to sleep on it. Number 2, Bloodlines. It totally took the top for me. I was fighting, should I put Bloodlines 1 or I had to keep number 2 as number 1 because again, it's relatable. I travel all over Central Florida to go to work, and I'm always on the highway, and I'm always scared, and I drive with my 2 hands like this. So, number 2 again, Bloodlines. We already went through that. Number 3 for me was Final Destination 5, the bridge film. For me, my daughter and I, when we were going through all the films and I was introducing her to this franchise, I was like, you know what? Why didn't we just like keep in track of Final Days, like the Death's Plan? Why didn't we keep track of Death's Plan this whole time we've been watching? So when we finally watched the 5th one, we were like, okay, grab a pen, grab a paper, and we were like, okay, this person died first. So we were following Death's Plan, and we had fun with it. And then when the twist came, we had a pause. I don't know how many times. It took 3 hours to watch the film.
You make me want to
because
switch my two movies. That was a good one. It was.
We
I
had
hated
to
Isaac
pause
though.
like
Oh,
100
fuck that.
times just to like. We were like, wait a minute, because the first thing Kaylee's really very intuitive for a 15-year-old. She was like, that girl didn't die in the premonition, and so it really threw us off. And so when she didn't die, we were like, okay. And then we realized at the end, oh, she didn't die because he got her to safety. The premonitioner always dies last in every film. The premonitioner dies last. So when he didn't die last, or no, he did die last in the premonition, but he didn't. I forget where the order was. Anyways, he got her to safety, so he gave up his life and had that lifespan. And so when they all died in the cafe, I was just like, oh my God, fucking awesome. Number 4 is Final Destination 1, Airplane. I hate flying, period. And now I have to put my daughter on an airplane in 2 weeks, so I'm nervous. She's going to New York to go sing. She's going to be singing in New York at Carnegie Hall. She's going to be on a huge stage. It's
nice.
awesome.
That's pretty big. Carnegie Hall.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, it's going to be big. It's going to be
Fancy.
big. I'm so excited. And she's going to be visiting Broadway. She's going to watch Chicago. So I'm excited but scared because I'm like, Final Destination. Okay, what do I got to pack? Make sure. So anyways, but I mean, the original OG. It was in 3rd place now because of Bloodlines. It knocked.
You know what? I might. You know what? It just doesn't hold up as well. And I think you're right. 5.
But it is an OG.
It's the OG, but 5. Oh, I
It
think
was
it's
so
the
good
more.
with
It's
the
the more
twist.
enjoyable film. I think. I might have to switch that. Just anyway, good.
Next time when the next one comes out.
Yeah.
Number 5 is number 3, the roller coaster. I do love the touches of Tony Todd being the roller coaster. He speaks the devil, I believe. So I do like that. It was a fun film. I hate roller coasters. Kaylee hates roller coasters. And we try to face our fear when we go out to like the parks and stuff. And once a blue moon, we'll jump. The last roller coaster we got on was Donkey Kong, because we got a big preview to Epic. We got to see Epic early. And so Donkey Kong is a roller coaster. And if you remember the video game Donkey Kong, he rides in the barrels and he skips tracks. And they gave that illusion very fucking well. And I'm thinking Final Destination. So like I live in fear all the fucking time, I guess. And then last but not least is Final Destination 4. It's not a bad film, but I just felt like it was so handheld by premonitions. Oh, okay. And it was quick. It was like bam, bam, bam.
Yeah, the characters were
handheld.
terrible.
The premonitions were just like with him at all. He got a premonition every 5 minutes. And I was just like, so he's seeing it before it happens. And I'm just like, I just wasn't connected with the cast either. They were really fucking annoying, especially the white guy in the pool. I could not.
No, not Hunk. Hunk.
I could not.
Why is it Hunk?
Yes, and so he is a honk.
By the way,
but-
that pool scene, how the fuck can that? That was a little. That's the only that was like, I don't know about that one. I think they reached.
Oh.
Yo, you're muted.
Aw.
those things do have enough suction that it
But it took forever. But no one saw
yeah.
this guy at the fucking bottom of the pool this whole time.
But
that was a
that's-
little on a.
I didn't like that
It
one.
was
no.
odd, but I will say I liked the water scene because they were within seconds of dying from each other in the premonition. So
Yeah.
I did like the fact that they split
I
the
would
sea
say this.
water scene.
That
The water
scene is so.
was split.
It took so long to commence that they should have at least had him like create some kind of effect to show him get pulled in. They could have waited and show the blood. Like, oh man, we waited all that just for that. Nah,
Right.
That's a fail.
But running it back, Final Destination 2, Bloodlines, number 5, number 1, 3, and 4.
All right. Before I give mine, let's hit the comments.
Yes, sir.
I don't want anybody to feel ignored before we sign out of here. I got yelled at by my husband because we didn't read one of his comments
When today?
Oh.
last week.
It could have been a good ass comment.
He goes, Rick just skipped over my comment. I'm like,
I'm about to miss
sorry.
him once in a while. Tony Todd's words really was an eye opener. I agree. Oh, DeRay, what boy? What's up, DeRay?
Hey.
I thought Bloods was really fun. I didn't hate the log shit. I actually burst out laughing when that happened. I didn't hate it. I just hated that it was so CGI. Like, I don't know. I don't like it when shit feels weightless. It felt cartoony because of that.
It did.
And that's when
it took away from the whole great film that
I'm
it was.
not anti CGI. I just hate it when they use it in a way where it's like this. It just felt cartoony. Yes, like, man, like, for example, look at Julia's Death of the Trash Compactor, how that looked. It was tangible. And this here, it felt floaty, and I didn't like that. But it was a nice little throwback. The Tony Todd shit broke me, though. Yeah, he wasn't acting in that scene. He was saying goodbye to the fans. He was. And that is what really got to me, because I knew going in, okay, because they said, make sure you pay attention to that scene, because that's him speaking from the heart. No dialogue, no script. The filmmakers told him, throw that shit out the window. Tell us.
He did have. Hold on. He was given a script, and then they said, just do
that's
your
what I
shit.
mean. Throw it out the window. Yeah. Good. Yep. All right. Did anyone else clap with the piano? Hell yeah!
Yeah.
I
I mentioned
did.
that. Yeah, I mentioned that. Oh my god, the dude that was in was like, yes, thank God. I thought that kid was
He
gonna
was
somehow
like,
make it
oh,
out.
I'm sorry, fat ass. I was like, bitch, I'm about to knock you out.
You know what's crazy? One thing with this movie is, I love how they did really take time to ramp up the anxiety, but in a way it was like, oh my god, really, a penny caused all that fucking destruction.
I know. I can't trust pennies now.
No, I know. Fuck pennies. I'm glad. Actually, they stopped reproducing them. I cannot handle roller coasters either. My biggest fear. Yeah. I used to love roller coasters, but as I got older and my anxiety levels kicked in, I was like, nah. You know what? I'm good, bro. Especially after Final Destination 3, I said, that's why I don't do roller coasters no more. Because any little thing could go wrong.
I do roller coasters for the adrenaline.
Not too long ago, a kid went on a roller coaster. This was like 2 years ago, and they didn't secure him. He flew right off. This is real.
Yeah.
So even to this day, nah, man. I know Joe loves that shit.
I can't do it.
There was also a movie that came out. I think it was like in the 70s or 80s, where it was a guy that was putting bombs on roller coasters, and people were flying off of it. So that gave me the fear of it. And so again, the Final Destination movies, it hits on your fears. My number one, like you guys, is Final Destination 2 for the same reasons. I mean, that it's sad that the OG is not number one, but like Rick said, it does not age as well.
That's
But
a good thing, though.
Destination 2. It is.
That means the series gets better. Yeah.
Bloodlines is number 2. Same thing. It revitalized the series for me. I'm looking forward to the next ones. I'm still putting the OG in the third spot because it is what started the series.
That's why I put it. Yeah.
It is what basically has given us this franchise that is, because again, the whole thing about this franchise, we love franchises. We love Nightmare on Elm Street. We love Halloween. We love Friday the 13th. Those involve a killer, a tangible killer. You're fighting against something intangible here. There's no escaping it. So this is why that one will stay there. Final Destination 5 is my number 4. Tying into Final Destination 1 was just like chef's kiss on that movie. It's not the perfect movie. When Lexi was texting me, I'm watching Final Destination 5, and it was the gymnastics. And I was like, yeah, I know now when I watch gymnastics, I'm so worried that somebody's going to fall. Because you see them fall.
Yeah.
And I'm worried you're going to see
I can't do
somebody-
broken bones.
That
I rather
was-
ride roller coaster.
Thank you, Joe, for for bringing that up. 'Cause that death was awesome because it felt real.
It was, but
Because
It-
we watch Olympics.
Yes, that could happen.
Yes, and now like that's what Final Destination does. It makes the improbable probable. So then it's Final Destination 3, and then Final Destination. I mean, everybody. I think anybody who watches the franchise, 4 is always going to be on the bottom here. But thank you for joining us. Thank you for the comments, Lexi, Rick. Again, props to you, bro. Honestly,
Yes.
I know I'm harping on it, but you had to watch other movies before this, on top of other movies that we do for the channel, on top of like life, to get here, to make sure that it wasn't just going to be me and Lexi. So appreciate you that for brother.
Joe,
next-
did you know real quick that the actress who plays Julia played one of the alters in Crazy Jane and Doom Patrol?
No.
There you go.
That's a little
Now
bit
you
shout out.
know. Now you
Make
know.
sure to watch Doom Patrol. It's on the Comic Book Horror Show. But for next time, we're not going to the theaters. We're saving that one. Make sure to go check out Bring Her Back. It's not next week. That will be the following one. But the next movie is streaming on Shudder and AMC Plus, and it's The Ugly Stepsister, which the only thing I kind of do know, it's kind of a twisted take on Cinderella. Is it Cinderella? No, not,
Is that the body horror film you guys are talking
it's a body
about?
horror one, but it's supposed to be a little bit on a fairy tale. What's the one with? Wait, who goes?
Well, what's
who
the
gets
fairy tale?
glass
I know
slipper?
them all, bro.
Yeah,
Which
who
one?
gets the glass
it's
slipper?
Cinderella.
That's Cinderella. Yeah.
Oh, so I was right.
You're
All
right.
so
You're right.
It's like Cinderella. So yes, thank you for joining us. Thank you for the comments. Make sure to check out this movie. You should definitely check it out in the theater. Lexi did check it out in one of the better ways to do it, but you can't hold your soda, popcorn, or beer. when you're
And scream
sitting in
and
a-
go like this at the same time.
Well, good thing
Yeah.
I don't do any of that in the theater. But unfortunately, we don't have that here. So
It was fun. I'll do it again.
I gotta go to Florida for that.
I did Attila Battle Angel on that one, and the theater.
Wait, Anita Battle Angel. Attila.
oh,
What?
no,
Attila,
whatever.
Attila the Hunt? What the?
I mean, whatever, the Battle Angel one.
Anita, yeah.
I thought it was Alita.
No, Alita, yeah, Anita.
Uh-oh. And
Wait, we
so
both
in
got
that-
it wrong. Never
in
mind.
that, I know. I know. At the first, we got it wrong. In that theater, what you did, it's actually called the D box. I'm not gonna get into that. But with that, Rick, take us home, bro.
With that being said, stay good, stay healthy, stay scared, but most of all, go to the movies and experience these films because you know why? The theater is dying a slow death.
It is.
Enjoy films now while you
Yes.
can. And you never know, you might have a good crowd. At the end of this film, I know Lexi didn't get it, but we got a standing ovation for the entire film. People loved it where I was at, bro. So,
Nice.
yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone, be healthy. Please come back next week. We love you guys. Thank you for the views, and thank you for watching and commenting. With that being said, stay